Hello and welcome to Ancient Asia. Every 14th February is the Day of the Lovers. The legend has it that Valentine's was a priest who served during the 3rd century in Rome. Emperor Claudius II decided that single men can be made into better soldiers than those with wives and families. He decided marriage for young men to be illegal. Saint Valentine of the Catholic Church realized the injustice, and despite the orders from the emperor, he continued to perform marriages for young lovers in secret. When Valentine's actions was discovered, Claudius ordered the execution of Valentines. As a result, February 14th is celebrated the lovers in memory of Saint Valentine. Great tales of love are found in our history. Let's wander in the past in search of great love. Our first story is about Prithviraj Chauhan and Sanyukta. According to Prithviraj Raso, written by Chand Bardai, the great poet, Prithviraj gained a reputation for his valor and chivalry. Soon, tales of his conquest reached the ears of Sanyogita, the daughter of Connaught's King Jaichand, who was known for her bewitching beauty. She is said to have fallen in love with Prithviraj and desired nobody else but the king. Prithviraj too was mesmerized by the tales of Sanyogita's beauty. It is said that they fell in love when a painter from Prithviraj's court, Pannare, visited Connaught and showed his painting to the princess. The same painter painted Sanyogita's portrait and showed it to Prithviraj. However, before they could marry, Prithviraj and Jaichand's relation soured due to the rivalry between their kingdoms. To assert his supremacy over other kingdoms, Jaichand decided to do a Rajasuya Yagya, a great religious fire ceremony. However, Prithviraj refused to accept his supremacy. This ignited an enmity between the two kings. To insult Prithviraj, Jaichand planned Sanyogita's Swayamvar and decided against inviting Prithviraj. To rub salt into the wound, Jaichand then commissioned a clay statue of Prithviraj and installed it as Dwarpal. When Prithviraj heard about Jaichand's decision, he devised a plan to elope with the princess. On the day of the ceremony, Sanyogita walked past all the king and prince and, ignoring all of them, and put the garland around the neck of princess' statue. As it turned out, Prithviraj was hiding behind the statue. He suddenly sprang from behind the statue, took Sanyogita up in his arms and took her away to Delhi. Jaichand could not be able to take the insult and forged an alliance with Ghori, the Afghan ruler who had tasted defeat at the hands of Chauhan. With the support of the Rajput king, Ghori waged a war against with a well-equipped army of 120,000 Afghani, Tajik and Turkic horsemen. A fierce battle ensued and resulted into the Prithviraj's defeat. Chauhan refused to bow his head before Ghori after the defeat. The king was subsequently captured and blinded by Ghori's soldiers. This time, Bardai, the court poet, himself hatched a plan to kill Ghori. Apparently, Prithviraj was a master marksman who could shoot many arrows with his eyes closed. Bardai persuaded Ghori to organize an archery competition. During the event, Prithviraj shot an arrow, sensing Ghori's voice that instantly killed the Afghan ruler. Up next, we move to the story of the wonderful tale of Unmada Chitra. In the kingdom of Sri Lanka, there lived a beautiful young princess in the kingdom of Anuradhapura. Unmada Chitra was a beautiful princess who was the daughter of Bhadraka Chayana and King Pandu Vasudeva. She was their only daughter and had 10 older brothers. At the time of her birth, the royal fortune tellers warned the king that the son born to Unmadachitra would grow up to kill his uncles and take the throne for himself. The brothers decided to kill their newborn sister over this prophecy, as they do, but were dissuaded by the oldest brother, who suggested that imprisonment in a tower instead would be a better option, where no male could see her and bed her. She was not allowed to leave the tower or even gaze at the gods. Digagamini, a young man who was the son of Queen's brother, heard the beauty and the tales of Unmadachitra. He made a quest to gaze his eyes upon forbidden princes who lived in towers. He found himself a job at the palace by his aunt's influence solely to seek out Unmadachitra. He befriended the guards to the princess's towers, Chitraja and Kalvela, who led him to see her. It was love at first sight for both of them, and thus began a love story which most of the 9th chapter of Mahavamsa, an ancient Sri Lankan text. Their torrid affair remained a secret until Unmadachitra became visibly pregnant. Incensed, her brothers killed Chitraraja and Kalvela for not doing their duty and also planned on killing Unmadachitra. However, her oldest brother Abhaya came to her aid and proposed to wait and see if the sisters bore a daughter, in which case the baby would be allowed to live, but if it is a son, he would be slaughtered. Later she gave birth to a son, but she was prepared for this outcome and secretly sent his newborn son to the village of Doramadalva under the watchful eye of her lover Digagamini. And she raised a baby girl from a peasant family to keep the royal family away from the truth. Much later, her son realized his birthright and fulfilled the prophecy by killing his 9 uncles, but he spared the oldest uncle, who kept her mother alive. He ascended the throne and became one of the greatest kings of Sri Lanka. He was known as the Great Pandukabhaya. And finally, we move to the epic story of Bajirao and Mastani. Bajirao was only 20 years old and already had a reputation for rapid decisions and a passion for military adventure in the Maratha wars in 1600 and 1818. The Peshwas were hereditary prime ministers of the Maratha Empire who had power commensurate with that of the rulers. Though Bajirao himself made administrative decisions and led the Maratha army in battle well beyond the Narmada, he was still subordinate to Shah Maharaj, the grandson of Shivaji and ruler of the Maratha Empire. Mastani was the daughter of Maharaja Chhatrasal, a Bundela Rajput who founded the state of Panna in Bundelkhand, and his Persian wife Ruhani Bai. She and her father were followers of the Pranami sect, a Bhakti Sampradaya that does not distinguish between caste and religion. Chhatrasal offered Mastani to Bajirao as a wife along with a third of his revenue after Bajirao helped in defeat an invading Mughal chieftain from Allahabad around 1727. All the rituals were performed with Bajirao Peshwa's sword and she was then welcomed to Pune, where they were involved as husband and wife. Although his family did not accept their relationship, Bajirao evidently fought great social sanctions and political perils to stay with Mastani and protected her from political reprisal until his death. Whatever their relationship, Bajirao prevailed. Mastani stayed for some time with him in his palace in Shaniwar in Pune. Later, he shifted her to another palace in Kothurud. His family continued to object. At one point, when Bajirao was away at the war, his family confined Mastani to a part of his palace. Nor did they allow Mastani's son with Bajirao to be raised as a Hindu. As Mastani's mother was Muslim, they insisted that a son be raised as one as well. Bajirao died in battle in 1740. Mastani too died soon after in the unknown circumstances. After their death, Kashibai raised their son Shamsher Bahadur. With the given evidence, it is fair to say that Bajirao had an immense love for Mastani. We hope you liked our today's episode on historical love stories in Indian subcontinent. Also, don't forget to give me your blessings on my birthday. Wish me a happy birthday in the comment section below. Thank you. Share, like and subscribe. This is Ancient Asia.